Blast off.
Greetings, esteemed members of the Gravy Train Rocket League Series community. I'm your commissioner, Adam Cowgill, coming into you today with finally our end of season update. Having to literally drag the Winn-Dixies through to the finish line, we're finally done. 30 games played, and we have a lot to talk about. We're going to discuss how each team did. We'll go through the highs and lows of each team. We'll discuss the playoffs, the matchups, and what to look forward to for the playoffs. And also, last but probably the most important thing at the end, we're going to discuss awards that players have won for their play in the regular season. To get started, though, we'll go through each team and we'll discuss it in ascending order in terms of the power rankings. Thanks again to our Vice Commissioner, Sus, for keeping track of that, because that's some nerd shit that I don't understand how he did it. Anyway, number 6 in the power rankings is Megawatt, finishing the season 1 win and 9 losses in matches, and out of 37 matches played, they finished with an 8-29 game record. The thing about Megawatt is this: if all three are playing at their game, they are a very, very, very powerful team. You have Val, who's an all-star with his performances he's had so far this year, and you have Kellen and Eighth as backup players who can contribute just as much as Val can. But for some reason, in this year, even after trading Kellen to Megawatt, it just something wasn't clicking. They're always half a step behind. But I think they've addressed those issues in the locker room, and I certainly wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs. I'm happy that we're not right away. We'll get into that later. Megawatt, again, very powerful team. Great performances from every member of that team. You have Val, who finishes with 408 points per game and having a 30-goal season. That's all you can really ask for at this point. So yeah, ultimately, they are a very strong team that should not be taken lightly. Number 5 in the power rankings, we move on to my team, Smooth Jizz, who finishes the season with a match record of 3-7 and finishes the game record of 19-23. What really sticks out to me, not only as a member of the team but also the commissioner, looking at the stats, to me the game record sticks out. 19-23, only finished 2 games below 500. No, 4 games. 4 games. Math is really hard for me. Finished 4 games below 500. And if you look back at the matches that we played, we had by far the most 5-game series of the year. Our first match we played of the season was a 3-game sweep. Our last match was a 3-game sweep. It's pretty cool. Outside of those 2 matches, there were, I think, 6 of our 8 other matches went to 5 games, and out of those 6 matches, we are 1-5 in Game 5. So if you take us to Game 5, odds are you're going to win. It's really frustrating, but outside of that, we really... I was very impressed, not to be biased, of course, with our performance in our last game, taking out a very strong Winn-Dixies in a 3-game sweep. We're hitting our stride too, led by All-Star Hawks, who will get into his accolades here a little bit later. You have me, who, not to brag, but this is not an award, but if you look at the stat sheet, I finished the season with the highest shooting percentage. That's not nothing. And then you have Jacob, who's an amazing third, who him and I feed off of each other. We make good passes together. And then you have Ryan, who's a save master. Again, this is a well-oiled team with, once we get some more time together, we got a few more scrimmages lined up, and once that happens, I wouldn't want to play us in the playoffs either. I think we're kind of scary. Moving on to number 4, the Winn-Dixies, who finished the season 4-6 in matches played, and in games played were 14-23. That just goes to show, it's so annoying. side tangent. We finished 19-23. They finished 14-23. But they finished above us because they won a game because we lost so many in game 5s. I'm over. Sorry, tangent over. Winn-Dixies had a couple of huge wins at the second half of the year. Once they made a trade and acquired Janitor, who seems to fit the mold very well. Highlights include the Winn-Dixies. In the last 3 games they played, they went 2-1, and in those 2 games they not only beat the Gravy Stain boys in a 2v2 matchup where it seemed to go their way for a lot of the games. It was a best-of-5 series, but still the games that Gravy Stain boys won were... Oh, I'm sorry. The games that the Winn-Dixies won were... they were very impressive victories. And then they also won in the best-of-5 series against Rough Sacks. So those are 2 very big wins for that team that propelled them up to the 4 seed. And they seem to be getting hot at the right time. They really do. They did lose to us in a 3-game sweep, so I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe we were playing amazing, or they had an off day, or maybe a little bit of both. But still, Winn-Dixies is a scary team at that 4 slot. Moving into number 3, we have Rough Sacks, who finishes the season, and they were literally dead even. 5-5 in matches played, and 19-19 in games played. And it's once again another team that showed a lot of signs of brilliance. You have Brock, who is an absolute unit, not only in stature but also in Rocket League. You have David, who's had a lot of time to practice and get better since he tore his Achilles at a recreational soccer league. Hope you're getting better, buddy. I saw you walking. That's really awesome, actually. You tear your Achilles and you seem like you're fine. I have a hangnail. I'm on the IR for 2 weeks. You're a monster. And then we also have Drew, who is he's better at doing the Cupid Shuffle than he is at doing Rocket League. But he's still a problem, and he's still a great number 3 to have on that back line. And that team, like I just mentioned, they lost to Winn-Dixies in 5 games. But again, once the team gets clicking, once they get more games under their belt, they need some more practice games, I feel like, just to get themselves lined up for the playoffs. That's going to be a scary team too. Every team is scary. I need to stop saying that. But again, every team has the potential to be great. I truly believe that. Moving on to the number 2 seed, we have Gravy Stain boys, who finished with an 8-2 record and 26-12 in games played. And their biggest triumph is that they did it. They knocked off Goliath. They beat Epstein's waitlist. They gave Epstein their only loss of the season in a very well-played match by all members of the Gravy Stain team. You have Kevin, another all-star who we'll get into his stats here in a little bit, but had an incredible year for his first campaign in the Gravy Train Rocket League series. And then you have Clayton and Garcia, who might be the best 2-3 combo in the league. They're basically mirrors of each other. Whenever one person, you have, let's pull the numbers here. You have Garcia, who's the assist guy, and you have Clayton, who's a little bit more a save person. So they kind of feed off each other, but they both do the same job very well. And they kind of just lob the ball up to Royal and say, hey, go do your thing, and he does it. So overall, they're a very powerful team who, if there were Vegas gambling odds on this playoffs, I'll say it. If there were odds on this, I'd be putting my money on Gravy Stain boys. And that's not trying to throw shade at anyone else, especially Epstein, but I think that Gravy Stain is just the most well-rounded team. And they beat Epstein. They're the only team this year to beat Epstein's waitlist. So that in there, that should show a lot about how good this team can be. I just talk crap on them, but it's hard to talk crap about the best team of the season. The number 1 seed, Epstein's waitlist, who finished the season 9-1 in matches and 28-8 in games played. And I mean, there's not much more you can say other than it was a dominant season for them. Out their 8 losses, 3 of those were to Gravy Stain when they lost that match, and 2 of them were to the Smooth Jizz. I mean, I had to shout it out. When we lost to them in 5 games, of course, it's our favorite thing. Our favorite thing to do is losing 5 games. But so those are 5 of those 8 losses. They only lost 3 more times in 3 more games all season. They've been dominant all year. You have Sus. Do you mind, Kelly? I'm sorry, am I bothering you? Sorry, she heard me talking about Sus, and she's like, oh, not that guy. Anyway. Yes, that guy. I know he's scary. Anyway. Sus, who's just been a monster all year. We'll get into his stats a little bit later as well. They made a trade that was supposed to bring them down a level, but they kept their stride. Henry fit that mold perfectly, and he's been playing up too. We don't have an award this year for most improved player, but if we did, it would go to Henry. He went from the first couple of games driving backwards more than he was driving forwards to, in the second half, actually scoring goals, making saves, making great passes, and having he was still the third on the team, but being a fantastic third for a Logan and Seth-led team that already was very strong. So there's just a problem. If you told me you were putting your money on Epstein, I wouldn't blame you at all. Like, it's still a very safe bet. So now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the playoff rankings. And the playoff matchups. Playoffs are set, and as we see here, we have in the first round, the Winn-Dixies will face off against Smooth Jizz, the 4 seed versus the 5 seed. And then we have the 3 seed Rough Sacks facing off against the 6 seed Megawatt. And those 2 elimination rounds will play a best of 7. And then the lowest remaining seed would play Epstein's Waitlist. And the highest remaining seed would play the Gravy Stain Boys. And after that, it's just a normal Final 4. It's best of 7 every round in the playoffs. We'll have the Final 4, and then we'll go to the championship game where we'll crown our Gravy Train Rocket League Series champion. So, that's that. That is where we are at with the playoffs. But now it's my great pleasure as a commissioner to announce the awards for the regular season of GTRLS Season 2. And we'll move in ascending order in terms of importance. Starting with our shot taker of the year. This is the guy who's peppering the net, causing problems. You can't shoot if you can't score. You can't score if you can't shoot. That's right. I think Wayne Gracie said that. I don't know. In third place for Shot Man of the Year, we have Brock, A-Town Steelers, who finished with 141 shots in 38 games, averaging 3.71 shots per game. I'm just gonna do the average because saying all those numbers doesn't mean shit. So I'll say the average. He averaged 3.71 shots per game, which is absurd. That's already a high number, and the fact that there's 2 more that are higher than that is crazy. In second place, runner-up of the Shot Taker of the Year award goes to Kevin, Royal Renegade, with 4.08 shots per game. And that means the winner of the Shot Taker of the Year award goes to Seth Aximov, aka Sus, who finishes with 4.14 saves per game. Congratulations, Sus. I have a feeling that we'll be hearing your name more than just for that award tonight. Moving forward, our next award coming up is our Goalie of the Year. And this one, as the guy who's in charge of the stats, you hope this doesn't happen. But we'll get... hold on. In third place, with an average of 1.46 saves per game this season, we have Chris, aka Doobie, who finished with a 1.46 save percentage. And like I said, this is the thing, as I'm adding the stats in, as the stats guy and then the guy who's in charge of putting the numbers on the board, I try to be as I am as unbiased as possible with the numbers. I don't have a leg in a horse in this race about who wins goalie of the year versus not. I just hope for it to be a clear winner and not what happened in this one. But the goalie of the year award, for the first time in GTRLS history, we have a co-winners. Two people are sharing the award for goalie of the year. James, aka Valner, and Ryan, aka Original Six Hawks, both finished with a 1.83 saves per game. I spoke to them both. They happily agreed to share the award. So congratulations to you both on being co-winners of Goalie of the Year. Our next award is our wingman, who is the assist guy, the setup guy. It's a very important role to put the ball in the right spot for a goal scorer to go score. And this season, in third place with .63 assists per game, we have Chris, aka Doobie. In second place, with a .68, so just a few shy, we have Brock, aka A-Town Steelers, who finishes in second place as the runner-up for Wingman of the Year, which means this season's Wingman goes to Alex Garcia, aka Duke of Dope 7, who finishes the season with a .76 assists per game. Congratulations, Garcia. That's called cooking in peanut oil. It's good. What else do you say? That's what I'm screaming. You say a lot of things. Built for tough. Yeah, all that. Congratulations, Garcia. You deserve it. Next, we have our Golden Wheel Award, which goes to the goal scorer of the year. And it's actually crazy how, spoiler alert, the ranking from 3 to 1 for shot taker of the year was also the 3-2-1 for goal scorer of the year. Callie, are you okay? Okay, get comfortable. I'm sorry, get comfortable. She's annoyed at me, I'm sorry. In third place for the Golden Wheel Award, with a 1.37 goal per game average, we have Brock, aka A-Town Steelers. The runner-up for our Golden Wheel Award, with a 1.55 goals per game, is Kevin, aka Royal Renegade. Which means our winner of the Golden Wheel, with a 1.61 goals per game, is Seth, aka Sus, aka Aximov. Congratulations, Seth, on an amazing year, showing off all the time. It's actually kind of annoying seeing how easily it is for you to score goals. And last but most important award, the Bolunda Car, the MVP award for this season of the GTRLS. Third place goes to Brock, aka A-Town Steelers, who finishes the season with a 4.61 points per game. In second place, our runner-up for the MVP award goes to Kevin, aka Royal Renegade, who finishes with a 480 average points per game. Which means the MVP of GTRLS Season 2 goes to none other than Seth, aka Sus, aka Aximov, who finishes the season with 511 point per game average, which is absurd. His average, just to dog on me a little bit, his average was 511 points. My highest game I ever had this season was 539 points. That's my highest game. So that's annoying, but Seth, congratulations. You truly embody what it means to be a member of this league, and all this hardware that you've won tonight showcases that. So guys, that's going to do it. Regular season is completed, and playoffs are just around the corner. Thank you for following along so far, and I hope you continue to follow along as these playoffs are about to get heated. As I said earlier, somehow all 6 teams are dangerous. Don't know how that happened, but I think it's going to be a very fun and exciting playoffs. So, until next time, this is your commissioner, Adam Cowgill, signing off. Take care, guys.